Hello and welcome to this screencast. What we're looking at today is the muscular system, but specifically we're going to be looking at muscles within the muscular system. So what I need for your corneal notes is on the screen now, so if you pause this and get these notes down, that would be fantastic. So hopefully you've got that down, but first of all, the first thing I want to show you is the muscle manicure with regards to all the muscles that are available. Remember, you are getting tested on this, so I thought if some of you are struggling, you can kind of practice with regards to covering your screen and writing down the muscles and then having a look. Do not forget that we've got iliopsoas missing off here. Iliopsoas will be, or it crosses the hip joint, so it's around about here. So you'll have a line down there for the exam, or it's going to be this side. Just so you know, iliopsoas is going to be the one that's here. So if we move on, we go on to today's topic. We are looking at antagonistic muscle action. So we need to be aware that muscles never work alone. They don't work on their own. They always work in pairs or groups, and this is to produce coordinated movement. Each muscle takes on a different role, which depending on the type of movement produced can change. And there are three main roles the muscles adapt, or can kind of adopt to. We have the agonist, the antagonist, and the fixator. So first of all, if we look at the agonist, now the agonist is the prime mover. It is the muscle responsible for creating the movement at that joint. Yeah? So you think about it. When a muscle creates a movement, if you are constantly creating that movement with that same muscle, eventually that muscle becomes tired, it begins to hurt, i.e. it becomes to get in agony. So remember, agonist is the prime mover. It is the muscle responsible for movement. Now, on the flip side to that, the opposite is the antagonist, and the antagonist, this opposes the agonist. So what it does is it's a muscle that opposes the agonist, providing resistance for coordinated movement. That's all we're going to say on agonist right now. And then finally, you've got the fixator muscle. Now, the fixator muscle essentially stabilizes part of the body whilst that movement is being produced. So, for example, during shoulder flexion, we could say that the anterior deltoid is the agonist, okay? We could say that the antagonist is the posterior deltoid. We'll look into this in a bit more detail in lesson. Now, the fixator muscle is pretty much a muscle around the shoulder joint. It's really hard to be specific with this. It's just a muscle around it. So we could say that pectoralis major is the fixator during that movement, for example. So they are antagonistic muscle actions or muscle pairs. We're going to now look at actual muscular contractions and the different types of muscular contractions that we have. We first of all have isotonic contractions. Now this is a muscle contraction which changes length during its contraction, okay, and it occurs in two ways. First of all, we have a concentric muscular contraction, and this is when a muscle shortens under tension. We then have the opposite to this, which is an eccentric contraction, which is when a muscle lengthens under tension. So they are our isotonic movements, okay, or our isotonic contractions when a muscle changes length, concentric and eccentric. The other type of muscular contraction we have is called an isometric contraction, and this is when a muscle contracts but does not change length under tension. Okay. Sorry, there we go. So it's when the muscle contracts, which stays the same length under tension. Now, I've got a picture for you here. This is an example of a concentric contraction. If you were doing a bicep curl, the bicep curl creates kind of like the hand towards the shoulder. So the bicep is the agonist, it is creating the movement, and that muscle shortens under tension. Therefore, it is a concentric contraction. If we come to this one, imagine we've gone from this position here and we're lowering the dumbbell to this point. As you can see, the muscles are lengthened under tension. So the bicep is still the agonist because it's still creating the movement, but what it's doing is it's resisting gravity and it's contracting on the way down, and the muscle is lengthened under tension. Therefore, it is an eccentric contraction. So on the downward phase of a bicep curl, the bicep is still the agonist, it is just an eccentric contraction. Finally, this one in the middle, if you just held a dumbbell here and didn't move, that muscle is under tension, but it doesn't change length, it stays the same length. That is what we call an isometric contraction. So make sure you're making good, clear notes on that, and please make sure your questions are specific with these terms in: shortens under tension, lengthens under tension, stays the same length under tension. Please make sure you have that done. Thank you very much. Bye.